in addition to using pre-written rules in Derive, you can also write your own rules from scratch, and we will be showing you how to do that in this video. So you can add segments, delete them, and even use features.
Right, so let's go ahead and see how that works. We will open up Derive first. And as we can see down here, there is a blank template for us to write our own rules in. Okay, so let's say that we wanted to write perhaps a final consonant deletion rule. In the first box, we will write a C because we want it to apply to consonants. And then in the last box, we will put a hash mark because we want it to be word final, right? And we actually can just leave the second box blank because empty sets are just automatically understood to be a deletion process. So if we just write this, we can see at the bottom here the rule comes out to be that consonants are deleted word finally. And there we go.
All right, so suppose we want only coronals to be deleted. So how would we do that? Well, it's quite straightforward. For us to do that, we would just need to write plus coronal in this first line. And that's it. So now just coronals are going to be deleted. So how about deleting coronal obstruents? So let's say we want to be that specific. So to do this, we would need two features. So we would need to add minus sonorant within the first line and close the bracket. So now we can see that the rule has been updated and the two features are outputted in the standard notation below. So it doesn't really matter like the order in this case, like it could have been minus sonorant and plus coronal, and that would have also worked.
Right, so notice how sometimes the lines under the boxes turn red. That means that Derive is telling you that something is wrong. So I just deleted the final bracket, and I left the bracket open, which means that the rule wasn't going to go through because it wasn't formatted correctly. And this is a way of Derive telling us that we have to fix something on our rule. So whenever your rule turns red, just take another look and fix it. Here we can just put the bracket back in, and it should be all good, and the rule you can see is applying down here in the derivation table. Also, do keep in mind that this down here is the set feature table that Derive understands, and it has binary features. If you want to customize this, you can feel free to do so. You can go ahead and watch our video on Featureize and how to customize Featureize because it's the same process. We won't be explaining it here, but it's very intuitive to understand.
Yeah, so now let us add a feature changing rule. So recall that these rules use alpha notation. So let us consider a rule that would match a consonant to the following consonant in terms of nasality. So as long as no other consonant follows. And we might want a special rule for clusters of more than two consonants. So this rule will result in matching consonants in terms of nasality, but only in clusters consisting of two consonants. So Jeffrey will show us how to do that.
Right, so we can add a new rule by clicking this big green button right here, and that will give us a blank rule template. Since we want this rule to apply to consonants, we would put, like before, a C in the first box. And we also want this rule to apply to consonants that occur before other consonants. So in the right context here, we would put another consonant. But notice how this doesn't really cover it because this would also apply to consonants that follow like two other consonants or four other consonants, or there could be a whole list of consonants, which is not what we want. We only want it to be in a cluster of two consonants, which means we would also have to put either a vowel at the end of this consonant or a word final boundary at the end of this consonant, which we can do by using curly brackets. So we can actually just put curly bracket, vowel, comma, hash mark, curly bracket, and that would mean that this is only going to apply to consonants that follow either a consonant vowel sequence or a consonant and word final sequence.
All right, so the final part of this process would be changing the nasality. So to do that, we normally use Greek letters such as alpha, beta, or gamma. So we would normally write alpha nasal. However, because Greek letters are really hard to input on a keyboard, we decided to use numbers instead. But the question then becomes, what numbers? Like, it seems like an arbitrary thing to decide. So if you hover over the output of the rule, you can see that a 3 appears belowhand. So we need to match the first consonant to the last in terms of nasality. So to do this, we would write 3 nasal on the second dash, no space, and we would close the bracket. So this means that the nasality of the first consonant will match the nasality of the consonant that is represented by the number 3.
Right, so now we see that our rule has applied, or has rather been completed down here. Also, it's in the derivation table. Let's input some underlying representations and see how that works. We'll first get rid of this first rule so that we're not distracted by it. And we'll put in some underlying representations like maybe this, and this, this, and this. Okay, so we can see just with our phonological brains that probably only the first 3 underlying representations are going to be processed by this rule, and the other 2 will remain unchanged. If we scroll down to the derivation table, we see that indeed that is exactly what's happening. So the R is changed to N, the N is changing to D in this one, the M is changing to B in this one, and these are nothing is happening. This is a vacuously applied rule, and this is not applying at all. So as you can see in some of these examples, the changed segment differs from the original segment by more than one feature. And that's because Derive is programmed to change your feature into the closest possible segment. So for example, if you're telling it to change a feature that will cause it to become an impossible segment that doesn't even exist in the inventory, Derive is not going to crash. Derive is just going to give you the closest possible segment that it can, which is really awesome so that you can never really make a mistake.
Yeah, so thank you guys for watching our video. So now we have shown you how to write rules from scratch in Derive, and feel free to leave us your feedback. We would love to hear whether or not you liked it or any comments that you have for improvement. And we hope that you enjoy using Derive. Thank you.